I got the man here, John Hough from Prep Zone, from GSV. Got the pulse on St. Louis high school sports. And depending on the day, we are a St. Louis-centered podcast in sports. John, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me here. It's you guys have a really great setup here.
I'm glad, man. You know, I think we're doing something. I don't know if we're doing something right, but I think we're doing something.
We're doing something right, but we maybe not know exactly what it is, but we're doing it right.
I think that's how it's the best thing is that, like, we're kind of just shotgunning it. And, you know, we're just kind of having a good time. But, John, how did you get into, like, whenever I see these write-ups with Prep Zone, whenever I see these write-ups, you know, from GSV, it seems like if there's something going on in the high school football circuit, you're semi-involved with it.
Yeah, thank you. I love talking about it. So it started a long time ago. I've always been a big sports fan. I think that's how we all kind of got into whatever we're doing, you know, sports media, because we're sports fans. And I love, you know, as soon as I got in high school, I really started liking high school sports, and I've stuck with it for a long time. And my first year in college, I really wanted to be a sports writer. I just wanted to do something with sports. You know, I didn't care how much money I'd make, as long as I make a decent living, you know, like a sustainable living. Yeah. That's all I want. And because I felt like it was my only option. And I've been able to kind of do it. In 2016, I started GSV. I was on my couch in my parents' house, and I finally came up with an idea and a model for it, and went with it from there. And it's you know, fortunately, it's given me some opportunities, which, you know, that's how I got, you know, Prep Red Zone came up really through doing GSV. So that's how I've been able to do that there, and here we are.
Now, what is, like, GSV? Like, break down the acronym for me, break it down to people, because we do have obviously a lot of people who follow us, and, you know, especially on Twitter, where all these kids have Twitters, they know what GSV is, but break it down to what we got going on the.
So GSV is Gateway Sports Venue. So you know, St. Louis is the gateway to the West, so that's why I wanted to use that. And nobody really using Gateway, so I thought I could use that. And then, yeah, sports venue. It is a sports venue, and it's a nice little play on letter. I thought, you know, from a long-term thing, like, if this thing kind of gets going, GSV, that kind of sounds a little cool. So that could you know, be a little bit noticeable and rolls off the tongue kind of well. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to make a website where, because nobody was filming video, you know, high school games, high school football games, and basketball games primarily, like on a routine basis. It was just the news, which is great and all, but there was nobody that was doing it on a consistent basis with long-form highlights. And I thought, I've always wanted to have that, you know, someone doing that. And then I thought, well, I'm kind of experienced a little bit. You know, I went to Missouri Baptist. I was sports. I got a journalism degree there. So I thought, you know, I think I could maybe do this myself now and just see where it goes. You know, for the first couple of years, I didn't really know. I knew how to film, but other than that, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I also wanted to do rankings. I've always just that they're fun, and I know people. I mean, nobody's ever gonna get tired of rankings. You know, so you know, Prep Red Zone loves to make player rankings, and it's a great thing because people will always look at it and almost always disagree. But they're looking. Yeah. And so just as long as as long as they're honest and no one's just intentionally making horrible takes just to get views.
For impressions, yeah.
Yeah, I find that annoying, but it's part of the business. I get it. But I know they all do a great job. It's hard. Rankings are hard, man, especially when you're doing player rankings throughout a whole state. So, yeah, I just wanted to do, you know, videos and rankings, and that was kind of the base formula. And then it really kind of took off when I started doing player rankings. Yeah, that's when it strikes personal for a lot of players and, you know, people and coaches, and so it's.
Now, do you get a lot of feedback? Because sometimes, like, I'll do, like, when I'm writing USFL, XFL, and doing my quarterback rankings, like, occasionally I'll get a DM from someone who you kind of, it's not that player, but someone that, like, you know, you associate with, and you're just like. Yeah. Hey, man, like, what are you even talking about? And you're just like, I mean, did you not watch the film, you know? Because, you know, it's a little easier for, like, pro ball because the all-22 is, you know, changes the game. Because I have trouble sometimes breaking down film on just, you know, from a YouTube video. But, like, when you start diving into this, like, how interpersonal do these rankings come out? And, like, connection with the players to their family members to borderline harassment, maybe like.
I've gotten a little bit. Yeah, you're right. No, I've gotten a little bit of that over the years, but no, for the most part, there's been a lot of good dialogue for the most part. Because you're dealing with real people, and I think for the most part they're going to be respectful. And at first it was kind of like oh, he's trying and whatever, and for the most part you're kind of getting it right. But as you grow, as you get bigger and bigger, you're going to get more. More critics.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, it's like people will just be real about it, but then sometimes just pretend to be negative just to get likes in their comments, which is I don't find like it just to be funny, but that's a whole other deal. But no, even like last night I was doing I just dropped some interior lineman lists. I'm not even doing player rankings. I'm trying to not like put list people in certain categories and numbers. I'm just trying to get a little bit, but I still do lists. I'll do like here's just 10 guys, their list in no order.
Yeah.
A little less controversial there, but people will still like if I don't include them. I mean, even one person was like, "Why was I not on this list last night?" I'm like, man, hey, it's not like a defined list. It's just 10 people that I've verified, that I've looked at and I like their film.
And you're doing this through PrepZone?
Yeah, I go on PrepZone just for instances, and I ask some people. Yeah, and then people at PrepZone, they really like what I'm doing for that too, because I'll put it on my Twitter as well. Yeah. So it's it kind of works hand in hand a little bit, and just I'm also doing this as a service too, just to get the name out, and some of these kids, a lot of them, especially. Linemen are always underappreciated. So, some of these linemen people have never heard of, and their name's out there a little bit.
It's funny because, like, even though you've built up, like, a pretty decent brand and following and whatnot, it's like they're still coming at you like you're the NCAA or your rivals, where you, like John Hough, this guy is, air quote in my mind, 2 out of 5, and then they're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm ranked on Rivals as a 4, and I'm like, okay, dude, like, that's just how I see you. I'm just some dude doing this. Like,
no, yeah, I totally I emphasize and relate to all these people who make these rankings, for their job and to do it to get clicks. And dude, I'm in there in the bunker with you pretty much at this point. I love it. I think it's a little bit of a privilege that people can listen to you, and they may not respect you, but they're going to, and everybody may not respect you, but they're going to still listen to you just because you're talking about it. You're like, I mean, I don't know how many other people are talking about high school sports in St. Louis, but like
I think a lot. I think recently, and I talk to coaches about this all the time. I think St. Louis and Missouri as a whole, when I think of like high school, like football, like look at, you go on Wikipedia and you just like go down all the high schools and I get everyone's from St. Louis within an hour of the arch. But like in my mind, like you have Texas, California, Florida, Georgia, Ohio, and then Missouri. Because I mean, like look at all the guys that like in our area specifically within a stone's throw of who went to high school, who's in the NFL currently. I mean, every week on Instagram, there's another camp from go hang out with Kendall Perkins, do his camp. Like the Joneses are, both here. Gabbert's from Baldwin. Like, yeah. I mean, we have some ballers that are coming out here, and Lindenwood's on the up and up. Like Mobap moves conferences. They're going to be a player in this NIA, in the I think they're in Heartland now. So it's like, to me, I mean, I think a lot of people sleep on this state.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, I don't know. I think your rankings and like anyone who's doing anything right now means a lot more than it did maybe 15 years ago.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. I love Missouri. I was born in Illinois, but I was raised in Missouri, so I'm a Missouri kid. I got to admit it. But no, you're right. It's great to hear what Lindenwood and Mobap are doing. I went to Lindenwood for a year in college, and then the next 4 at Mobap. So it especially great for Mobap because like my first year there was the first year of their football program. Yeah. So it was. I saw a lot of, was in a lot of class with a lot of football players who were, there for the first time. And so it was kind of great to see it built from the ground up and now where they are now. So.
Yeah. And I only think the programs, like, especially in St. Louis, but even going down to like SEMO, like which is kind of an underrated program.
Yeah, they're doing great. They won their conference too.
Yeah, when who else you got? You got Geno Hess is down there, Ryan Florney. There's an offensive lineman who's pretty good, and then I can't talk enough about this kid, Paxton De Laurent.
Oh, he's amazing. I saw him not in person, but his last 2 years, I saw a lot of his film. I'm like, that guy might be the best quarterback in the state, and like they're not talking about him. And he has like 2 good years of I think NAI, and now he's the quarterback at SEMO, and he looks the part, and like they won a conference championship as him as the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean he is someone. So I don't know if you know who John Vogel is.
I don't.
He works at like All Access Football and whatnot, and does his own independent scouting. And like, he came up to me and he was like, what do you think of this Parker McKinney kid from EKU? And I was like, bro, you need to check out this kid, Paxton De Laurent from SEMO. I mean, he's got the name. Mm-hmm. He's like 6'5", lanky dude. He's like a better version of McKinney and Connor Dagenhart, who just got drafted by. And I like Connor Dagenhart a lot. I think Connor Dagenhart's going to go to the NFL at some point. He's with the Renegades right now. But I mean that's just Missouri ball, man. Like,
it is.
And he's a Camdenton kid too, so he's still local. Like, gotta go through the gateway. So, I mean, there's so much talent in this state, and I think we annex East St. Louis too. So.
Everyone likes to do. It's people. Like real quick, people have been accused me of like not covering more like city and stuff like because they'll say like I could be covering like Francis Howell and Zumwalt, the Zumwalt schools, and they'll say like that's not St. Louis area. I'm like, come on.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, but they always include. Come on, you just got to include St. Louis and East St. Louis. But
I'm good with that. But
no, we are good with that because they're so talented. But no, what I wanted to touch on was that one of the great things about this is that like I love to give coverage and give attention to the really good players who don't get attention, and like scattered throughout Missouri. I mean, the St. Louis and Kansas City area, they're going to get attention because they're so big, but it's just the kids that are kind of splattered throughout, especially like in SEMO and then Southwest Missouri too. Southwest Missouri is a hotbed of talent every year, man.
Is that like kind of that was gonna be my next question, is like where's the little I guess oasis of football, like when you're like going through this list since 2016, it's like, oh man, like I'm going to this high school again, I'm going to this high school again. Like, is that Southwest Missouri?
Well, I don't get to go there very often, but I've recently really just started to give more attention to the rest of the state. Just kind of build my brand honestly a little bit, but also because I know those areas love football and are probably might be more passionate about it than here, honestly, just because they're all a bunch of small towns and like there's something about community gatherings and like they're big on that down there. So I like to give them coverage too. So if I can, but I've just around here, I've done a lot of stuff with regarding Eureka and like the Rockwood schools. I've been kind of visiting those schools a lot more often lately. In fact, as we record this is a Tuesday. Tomorrow I'm going to be at a camp with that's involving like Eureka, Rockwood Summit, and SLU. So there's more there.
And that's something I see you always at as well, is like all these camps that are going on.
Yeah, it's important.
So is it not only important for your brand and the work you do, but has that just kind of maxed out since 2016? Because when I played high school football, we did one, and then you would go to the college camp. Like, a lot of guys went to Rutgers. I went to Penn State camp, which ironically was around the same time as all that stuff.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I have an off-camera story for that. But,
that's great.
Yeah. But, no, nothing. Good time over there. But I actually had one of my roommates, he played at Penn State. He didn't go to the NFL, but he was a tight end, became a tackle there. But a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, like that was our upbringing. Like as far as what we did, like a couple 7-on-7 started getting big.
Yep.
But like now it just seems like if you go on the Twitter and like you follow PrepZone and the JP Rock, like it just seems like he's
dudes everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just seems like every week there's a camp and like, you got these kids rolling around in these new foam helmets and whatnot. Yeah. So, is that just exploded? Am I just more involved in it now? Like, what's going on with that?
I think they've been around a little bit longer than what we realize. But I think it's just the attention it's getting, and I think people have realized, hey, like this is, good for content. It's good for the school student. It's good for the athletes, and but this year is the most I've ever been involved of just going to off-season camps. I went to a really good team camp in June at Central Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, that was because I really 7-7 is great, but I mean the best content in the off-season is contact camps when there's hitting.
Yep.
Because that's where you can get a much better idea. Still not like, okay, this so-and-so team is, okay, they did the best, so they're clearly going to be the best in the state or whatever. You can't tell, but you get a decent idea, right? 7-7, you can't get a good idea. It's just passing. But except for maybe some quarterbacks and some wide receivers. But anyway, I've been to a bunch of camps. I was at Eureka and Rockwood Summit for some contact camps. And there's a bunch of other schools who host their own contact camps like during the week too. So I try to get to those. And I've been to a few 7-on-7s, not as much as I usually do. I don't know. I think I've just gotten older. They're just not as fun to me anymore because, but a few, and they're fun. You get some good clips out of those.
So are you kind of like a little celebrity when you go to these now?
Oh, gosh.
Because when I went to the XFL showcase at MoBAP, I was a celebrity. And I'm just...
Good for you, man.
Yeah, no, they were like, you interviewed Coach B. You got that cool studio. And I'm like, I have people that I don't really mess with. No, not that I don't mess with, but I don't really know that I've seen around. And they came up to me and wanted to be my friend. And then, I talked to Mike Glass, maybe once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, great quarterback. Yeah,
I love that guy. He's spoiler alert, going to the showcase.
Cool.
The XFL showcase. He just had a great game in the IFL. But I'm walking around with him, and he came dap me up. He was supposed to be in studio, but had to go up to a workout in Michigan. And it was like, are you kind of like a little celebrity when you go around? Because it was a little overwhelming for me, and because usually it's not the people coming up to me because I'm used to that with my my day job, but when they're coming up to me instead of whoever I'm with type thing.
Yeah, that's I know what that's like. It's pretty cool. It's kind of gratifying. It's like these are people who follow your work and they appreciate it, and they're showing how much they're telling you in person how much they appreciate it, and that goes a long way. It really does. But celebrity that's subjective. Well, just last night I saw Oppenheimer last night, and I could hear some kids, I was in line to get popcorn, and I could hear them say, "Is that GSV?" I didn't acknowledge. I was on my own. I didn't really care. So I heard it. I didn't acknowledge them, but you get that certainly. Even the place I work, I've seen people see me there, and and even some people at work will call me GSV too. They're employees.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I wouldn't change a thing, and when I go to the games, I won't lie. Half the time, if a student section might chant GSV,
really?
Which that never gets old. But I have proof I could show it. But
no, I
it's
believe you, man. It's not a knock. I think if anything, it's kind of cool because it just shows one people know who you are. They say all press is good press, but at the same time, if they didn't like you or wanted attention from you,
I've gotten a little bit. Less than love.
Yeah, but that's everyone though, man. I get random comments telling me you're incompetent, you don't know and I'm just if they send me a DM, I'll engage them. I'll be like, okay, what did I say that was wrong?
Yeah, and
tell me where I could improve on my analysis. Because, sometimes, oh, this guy's a good quarterback. I'm like, why? What makes him a good quarterback?
Yeah.
Is it his platform, decision-making? And then you start throwing, actual analyzing it. They're just his stats were good. And I'm like, okay, man, I could break down any quarterback's, highlight films and tell you, that he put at least 5 passes that shouldn't be on there, but because they're touchdowns, he put them on there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can be a little bit more forward with that. I think, in college, you can be a little bit more out there, especially these players are getting paid now too. So there's a little bit more criticism out there. But you got to watch. For me, I've always known it's okay, you can't criticize anybody outwardly unless they do something horrible.
Yeah.
But and even a lot of the times, like if I don't bring up a player, it's because like I don't have anything good to say about them. So it's just the best thing is just to don't talk about them.
Yeah.
Because if you tell me like, what did you think about this kid? Who I'm like, well, if to be honest, like this kid was horrible, so I'm just not gonna bring him up. But no, you're right. You'll get some. I mean, there's always gonna be people. That's just part of the job, man.
Yeah.
People are gonna talk to you, and but as long as it's cordial, and you're both respectful of each other, it's great. But. No, but my favorite, like you were talking about, like I'm a celebrity, but I was at one funny thing was I was at so I went to Ladue High School and we're playing our rivals Clayton. I say we, I'm a 29-year-old man, so. But no, it was I was filming it. It was rivalry game and like Clayton student section knew I went to Ladue and. Yeah. They were just giving it to me. Oh, it was like 4 people, but that was funny.
The loudest 4 people in the history of Ladue High School.
It was Clayton. I couldn't really hear them, but I could kind of read their lips, but I thought it was hilarious, and yeah. I understood it. They were losing by 30 points, so
yeah,
that was a really fun thing for me. I just to be on the other side of it, just to see people in person actually kind of say some negative things, but I enjoyed it. That was great.
Is there anyone that you've scouted since 2016 that like you thought was can't miss or like and did miss, or someone you didn't think highly of that you were like I was dead wrong about that?
Oh, absolutely.
Name 1 or 2 or depending on who they are. If they're like older people, not like a child.
They're older now. I don't know. I mean, in St. Louis. Well, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of good players that have been lived up to their potential. Like AJ Epinesa from Edwardsville. He's, starting defensive end for the Buffalo Bills. Isaiah Williams, who's, I think that was his 5th year at Illinois, and he's doing great there. He's the best wide receiver. Even though like I guess maybe you could say it didn't work out at quarterback because he was going to be a quarterback, but at the same time, it's like. We kind of knew he'd probably be a wide receiver because he's like 5'9", Yeah. It was going to be really hard every time to be a quarterback.
Checks don't bounce no matter what position you're playing.
Exactly. And now he is a better wide receiver than he is a quarterback, and I think there's a decent chance he can make it, to an NFL roster next year. So, which is the most important thing. I really don't know. I mean, a guy who's been really we all thought was going to be great. Maybe some basketball guys there, but it's kind of recent, so I don't want to say their names. There have definitely been people who, like when they were freshmen or sophomores, who people thought, and mainly kind of because of the school they went to, maybe because their name, it's like, oh, that guy's going D1, and he ends up going to like D2 or whatever. So and then like, well, that kind of was a dud from your perspective. I never really thought like maybe he was going to go D1, but like from a lot of people's eyes, yeah, maybe not a failure, but just like didn't live up to their own expectations that were too lofty in the first place. But no, there's also been some players that one like Trevor Trout, for instance. I don't know if you remember him.
No, I don't.
So he was like highly coveted coming out of Chaminade, and he was great, but he just had an injury in college. And then he recently graduated. He's doing great. I think he's doing some media stuff, but no, it's just injuries happen.
Yeah, I don't consider injuries making, especially a child, a bust.
Yeah, I mean they just happen, and that's a lot of the time it is kind of injuries. It's like maybe it's something soft, at first, but then it kind of evolves and evolves and evolves, and it just kind of just can't get to 100%. That happens so many times.
Yeah, no, especially like I won't. I don't want to say I won't stand for it, but like I'm not gonna come off as too lofty, but. I mean, like when these kids, they come out of high school and they're 5-star and they don't work out because of injuries. I'll never throw stones at that. But if like it's a worth ethic thing, and I mean, you see kids who have been so good for so long, and it's like eventually like hard work. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. Like eventually you get to that point where you still you got to figure it out. And. I don't know. It's kind of a crazy game, like from your perspective, like dealing with like more high school kids and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think you got to be a little bit more like, I don't want to use the word politically correct, but a little bit more like.
I think that's a great word.
Yeah, you think? I would say, is it empathetic? Is that
a little bit?
Yeah, show more empathy towards like a 16-year-old than like.
Yeah, you have to.
Like when I've done some film breakdowns for like a 26-year-old, and I'm like, dude, your highlight tape is terrible.
Yeah, no, you have to, and you have to be professional. I mean, there are guys who have been jerks to me, quite frankly.
Like players or
players, yeah. No, there's some player people,
like teenagers being.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with teenagers too. You're going to get some of that stuff. There was this one kid. He thought, like a lot of people. I don't know if it's true, like for real, if they really think this anymore. But like I've been accused of hating people's schools.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's just.
I feel like fiscally and like for the brand, that's not good enough. That's not a good like thing for you to do. So you.
Well, in a way, it is because like I've heard people like from former like writers who've had the same thing. Like, you hate our school, man, but it's like, other people have like said you hate our school, but someone else told me that I love your school, but you think I hate yours. But in a way, they've told me like that's kind of a good thing because people are paying attention, and they're just a little spiteful. I don't know something. But anyway, this one kid said like he thought I hated their school because like I didn't maybe pick them to win some game. I do picks of the week and whatever, and he was like, he basically said, like, I'm better than you. Like, well, you never went D1 like me. I'm like.
So this is someone who's, like, not associated, like not playing any sport.
No, he's playing sports, but he was basically like, well, you never went D1, so, like, you don't know anything about, blah, 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 anything. And so it's like, wow, okay. So.
Weird flex, but okay.
Right, yeah. Well, anyway, so it's like, I know I had to, like, cover one of his games, but I had to like, I'm still gonna like cover it normally, but it's like, that guy's kind of a jerk, but it is what it is. I mean, you're gonna deal with that stuff, and kids are kids. There's some really respectful ones, which gives you like, hope for the future. Like, oh wow, like not everyone, not all these kids are, like all these immature. Like some kids are like a lot of kids are smarter than me, like way ahead of the curve. But you're going to get some, players who are a little insecure about it. So if they don't hear what they want to hear. So
I get that from like the tribalism of like the USFL and XFL. I don't know if you've seen that at all on Twitter.
Not really. I don't follow that stuff on Twitter particularly. No.
Yeah, so like I'm pretty deep into both those spaces, and I get people who say like I hate the USFL. I get people who say I hate the XFL, and I'm just like, bro, like you guys are a bunch of savages. Like,
yeah,
like it's crazy how like. You think you're not even like biased one way or the other, but just like you feel like you're just doing the same thing for like the different league, kind of like not a copy and paste, but like, okay, this is how I break things down, doing the same thing. And then people are like, you're this terrible person. And I'm just like, bro, you don't even know me. Two, like, this is the internet. Like, you would never say this to me in real life.
No. I've only had I've only had one like truly negative reaction, but it was kind of like dealt how you would think it would be on the internet, but in real life, it was like, I think these 4 kids, it was after a Francis Howell Timberland game. It was like Timberland lost. They got crushed. I think it was these like 4, I think it was like Timberland kids, but like they said some choice words to me and then immediately walked away.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even like face me. They just walked away. So they literally like, so it was kind of funny. It's like what they accused me of is like basically kind of what their action was. But no, other than that, like no one's ever come up to my face and said anything actual, mean-spirited, because that's what's great. Like in real life, people are nicer, way nicer than they are on the internet, so you just gotta deal with it like that.
Like it's funny, like sometimes I'll put together like heart and soul into a piece.
Yeah.
Especially writing, and then So I'll do it like I wrote an article, heart and soul, all that goofy stuff got 400 like views on the website, and then I wrote like a normal like transaction piece for the Battlehawks, and it got like 9. It was like Nick Tiano goes on the IR, Vinny Testaverde signed to the team, 4 paragraphs, just like. This is what Tiano's done this year. This is what Testaverde's done in his career. Okay, now the Battlehawks are, 6-3 going into week 10. Like, no actual, like, heart, just like, hey, just let you guys know. And it got, like, 9,000 views. And I was like, all right, dude. Like, I went out, made a video, did this for this other piece. I get 400 views. And then I literally just, like, did this on my phone. And it's, like, 9,000 views. And it's, like, and 16 new followers and all these impressions, and I'm like, bro, this is not real. This universe is out of control.
Yeah, the internet has weird algorithms.
Yeah.
It's dude, and I've been there too. Like just working really, really hard on something and doesn't get a whole lot of return, and then not putting as much effort into something else, and that blows up a little bit. You know, so it's not that devastating because like you're happy your thing worked out, but it's like what does this mean? Does this mean like I don't have to work as hard, or like what does this add to?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like, you do the in studio interviews, and it's like, okay, you're hoping it's gonna take, like, you're like, okay, upload and 13,000 views right here, and then it's like, I did the showcase ones, and that's just me out there with the mic and like, just trying to keep my angle, my lactic acid, and like I got like more views on that than I did on some other stuff, and it's like, man, this is just me throwing the camera in someone's face versus like doing the homework, reaching out. But it's part of that grind, man. Like it is like the behind the scenes of sports media and scouting and whatnot. Like it doesn't get much better though. Like
no, it doesn't.
I'm pretty happy, Like
this is fun.
Yeah, this is a pretty awesome passion. So do you have like a lot of college coaches talking to you here? Is that kind of where the Prep Zone thing kind of throws in?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I get more on like when I'm on GSV. Yeah, they do that. They'll reach out to me. One time a few years ago in Notre Dame, like not their head coach, not Chip Kelly, but I forget what his role was specifically, but he was asking me like, hey, like, is there a place where I can, because he was recruiting Kevin Coleman, who's I believe, I don't know if he's still at Jackson. I think he might have like transferred. I'm not sure where he is now, but he went to Jackson State. But he was reached out to us, and we just said like, yeah, here's STL today. They have all this amazing stats engine. Go there. So like, I felt like, whoa, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I basically just about most of the football coaches, will have reached out to me at some point. Like I have a relationship with, a good amount of them at this point. And, but this is my 8th year now. So it's like it's kind of natural at this point, which is really cool. That was kind of a long time dream.
Do you go to the mega camps that they have, the local ones, or what's your experience with them?
Yeah, I've done some of those. I went to the Nike mega camp one time. That was when Brady Cook was a senior, going to be a senior, and and JJ McCarthy was there.
Okay.
I had no idea who he was at the time. He was from Chicago, and I think he was going to be a junior because this is going into the 2019 season, and I saw him there. I'm like, I don't know who that guy was, but he was like, he threw the best balls and like the best accuracy out of anybody.
Yeah.
And that was JJ McCarthy, and now he's a starting quarterback in Michigan.
So I'm probably gonna be a 3rd round pick next year.
If he's got a good year, probably.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's kind of cool when like I talk to guys who are in the high school space, and it's like, yeah, what do you mean you didn't know about JJ McCarthy? I've been screaming about him since 2019.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, man. Just these Michigan quarterbacks, it's weird, to me at least. Cade McNamara, Wilden Sprite, going all the way down to like 2008 after Chad Henne left. It just felt like there hasn't been a guy there for years.
Yeah, you're kind of right. Like, not a big name quarterback.
I mean, you had Mallet.
He was supposed to be the one, then he transferred to Arkansas.
Yeah, Tate Forcier, McCaffrey, Dylan McCaffrey, Luke McNamara, Wilton Spite.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like, damn.
Not a whole lot of big names there, honestly. Yeah. I remember Forcier because that was when
He was a 5-star guy.
Really?
I think he was. I feel like he was something.
I knew, I remember, I only know this because, I loved college football back then, during his time, so that's how I know this somehow. But, he was kind of, I heard he was, tabbed to be, a college quarterback when he was in the third grade.
Yeah, he was one of those guys. But,
yeah.
Now we're getting sidetracked. But
yeah, sorry, guys. And then I don't even – I'm an Illinois fan, so, I have strong feelings toward Michigan. So, but I still know that they're program, because obviously they're really good. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Is I can't think of anyone that's been a quarterback since Ryan Mallett. Technically, that's been drafted out of Michigan. I might be missing one, but I know Wilson Spite had a cup of tea with the 49ers in 2015, but I don't think anyone. No. I feel like the Big Ten, it's either Ohio State. I mean, Penn State's pushing some guys out there now, like, backup roles, and then you got backup quarterback you in Michigan State. I mean, if you want a backup quarterback, you go to Michigan State.
Yeah, well, except Kirk Cousins.
It's another conversation.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have time to talk about my love affair with Kirk Cousins.
Especially after the Netflix quarterback thing.
Dude, I have every other.
You can't hate that guy.
I have every other streaming service. I don't have Netflix. Like I probably have my mom's friend's password. From my mom's friend's son's password that I went to high school with, or something like that.
You're right.
I don't know, man.
But you're right. Brian Hoyer and Drew Stanton, backup quarterbacks.
Hoyer, Drew Stanton, Nick Foles.
I didn't know he went to Michigan State.
Yeah, Connor Cook, Brian Lewerke. I mean, Andrew Maxwell. Not Maxwell. And then who else, man? I mean, Rocky Lombardi. He's at NIU now, but he'll be a backup quarterback in one of these leagues. So
good for him.
One of the caveat before we get out, if you're on something are these younger kids? Are they still very NFL and bust for you, or are they kind of open to the XFL and USFL? Like, do they even know those leagues exist?
I think they do. At least locally, people got excited about the Battlehawks, and I think once they get, maybe right now they're a little naive about it, but I think once they get into college and if they want to, make a career out of playing football, they'll learn about it. And I think, and I think kind of the good news is that I can tell people is that once people, a lot of players turn like they're seniors or they turn 18, they start to get it.
Yeah.
And they don't get as excited for, rankings. Like it's a neat thing to them, but it's like, I'm not as excited as I was about a year ago because, I'm kind of thinking about other things, and they're just maturing. So they're good. They'll get into it. They'll pretty soon, once they're in college and whatever.
Because that's what I was curious. Because I mean, with these leagues coming around, and even if both these leagues fold, I think someone else will try a new league. So I think there'll always be this spring football circuit, and I think
hopefully,
I mean, I love it. I mean, it's hell, supplements my income, so I needed to stay around. But
there's a lot of money to be made that because that's the bottom line here. There's a lot of money to be made off of those because everyone loves football. Okay, well not everyone, but more than enough people love football for a spring professional football league to be sustainable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really hard though because I mean we're talking about I don't know if the leagues are going to fall. It seems like I've been following the XFL more because of the Battlehawks. It seems like it's doing it fine right now, but it can be sustainable if the right ownership and smart people running it. So
has NIL affected your job a little bit with these?
Not yet, but
yeah,
hopefully.
Well, I mean, also in the sense of these kids want more exposure, your DM, when because everything is retweet, everything is this. All it takes is the right person to see this one kid. And, we talk about a guy like Dakotas Crawford. Granted, he's a good player, but even if he wasn't a good player, he'd still have NIL deals because he's got a cool name,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So
Not yet. You know what? I did, I think a year or so ago, I did have a few players DM me about, wanting, NIL. I'm like, no, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, there are people that have had some ideas about that, but no, not that I can think of honestly to answer your question. Maybe eventually, perhaps. I think NIL, it's probably a good thing overall, but it certainly has its negatives. I mean, for anybody to think this is a 100% positive thing, a little bit in and out, because there's going to be some detractors. I mean. Yeah. We're going to see kids forego their senior years of high school because if they, who are, going to big time schools,
yeah.
Can't really do that anywhere else. It's just to be sure they're healthy for spring ball and, because they have NIL. So it's a professional thing, but that's the kind of the part, anybody who misses who is willing, okay, and they're healthy to just miss a football season that's a whole year of experience you're never gonna get back, and that's invaluable. That's invaluable. That's why you play football, So I mean, that's my 2 cents there.
Well, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. We saw it in college. Joey Bosa was one of the first guys. We see it with not Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, when he got hurt, could have came back but didn't. And then you have guys who, sit out the COVID year, and then you had, sitting out bowl games. And, man, these guys got to do what's best for them. I'm not knocking on it, but, at what point are guys going to start, sitting out contract years in the NFL?
No, you're not doing that. I mean, because the NFL, that's the big.
You would never think that someone would sit out $12 million on a franchise tag.
Right. Well, and in college, it's here's the other thing with NIL. What's maybe kind of nice about that is you can't. I don't know how it works out, whatever, but I don't know if people who are paying you money essentially, are happy with you. I'm just gonna sit out this year, But do they still get paid then?
It depends on their contract.
Right. So it's all contracts. And I think it's different, in college because you're so close to the NFL right there, and that's the ultimate. It's what you play for. But but what I was saying was more directed in high school.
Yeah,
it's just.
I'm just saying, is it gonna could that same mantra go to all 4 levels, 5 levels, 6 levels of football? Because essentially once you start, college football at this point is pro sports.
It is pro sports. Anybody who says it's not is maybe you could say semi-pro. That's maybe a better way of saying it. But
I wouldn't even say that, man. I think I go full pro sports. If you're paying me $300,000 to play at the University of Colorado, I'm a professional athlete. I'm making more than a rookie on the practice squad or whatever it is.
Yeah, you are really. No, yeah, it is professional sports. Yeah, you're right. So it's. Again, it's kind of. It is nice. And people have used NIL to keep players in their teams in college to forgo. It's guys are 5th, 6th round projected, and hey, you still think you can develop here, and and you're gonna be making more money here anyway too, so you might as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's cool about NIL, I think, and it gives a lot of people opportunities that they couldn't have anywhere else, really.
I think they should stop calling it name, image, and likeness because they're not getting paid for their name, image. They're just getting paid. I had no problem with them getting paid in NCAA. I had no problem them doing YouTube videos, them getting paid, I have no problem them getting profits on their jerseys and doing commercials.
Yeah, that was getting that. That's been a long time coming.
Yeah,
profits on their jerseys. Yeah, come on, that should be going. The money should be going to them.
Yeah, but now it's it's essentially become free agency.
Yeah,
so I think
very quickly.
Well, we went from 90% of human society agrees, no matter where you're at on spectrums politically or whatever, it's if you're selling an Ohio State jersey because of me, I should get X amount of dollars.
Yeah,
and now they're just how about we just give you $300,000 to come play here to an 18-year-old? And I'm I feel like we kind of went real hard to the other side of the pendulum real quick, man.
Well, and that's what's happening for a long time.
Yeah, I kind of liked it when it was a little bit illegal because at least you had to be coy about it. Now it's just what do you want? Outbid us, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I don't know, man. It's such a wacky. I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect system, and I think even I talked to some coaches, and I don't even think they know. They're just something's not right. I don't know how to fix it, but I think we all agree something's not right.
Yeah, I think that's everyone kind of has that same outset. But the thing I hate the most is because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of under the radar. Hey, I know you're playing for this team. Don't tell anybody, but if you can come to, let's say LSU, we can give you this and get this.
That's where
I hate that because that's you're tampering and that's illegal, right? So it's that. That's always probably been happening too, but that's unfair.
Yeah, but you at least be smart about your tampering. There's always going to be people who rig the system or do messed up stuff, but it's now I feel it's way more open.
Yeah.
I feel if you were selling, doing all this stuff, you had to hide it a little bit, and at least there's still respect for the rules to an extent. Now it's just blatant, maybe just, I don't know, maybe I'm coming off as a boomer. I just feel something's not right. I don't have the solution to it. I don't think anyone does, and I think it's going to explode at some point, and everyone's going to be how did we get here? And then next thing you know, no more NCAA video games again.
Well, I was actually wanting to say something because we were supposed to get that next year.
Yeah.
And then there was that thing a little while ago where I think a group of players wanted to get fairly compensated because I think all the players in the whole like D1 or whatever.
It's like $500.
$500.
Yeah.
But there's like this other group that wanted to say, hey, every player should get paid like what they're worth or whatever. But it's like, how in the world are you going to calculate all that? Like, there's thousands of players, and so.
I mean, do the NFL players get paid from Madden? I assume they do.
They do.
I mean, I would just go off that formula.
Yeah, and I'm not the one to answer this question. The answer, but I just know like there was like some pushback on like legit pushback on that. It's like, and it was more of it was like, can't we just have this game, please?
Yeah, bro. Can I just run read option and 4 verts like?
Yeah.
NCAA 14 was like the greatest game ever, and then like you get rid of it, and like you have Madden is so trash, and like
it is trash.
Yeah, like you got Patrick Mahomes can do the shortstop throw rolling to his left,
an 80-yard shortstop throw rolling to his left.
Yeah, I'm just like, dude, do these people even care anymore? Like
they don't care.
Yeah, they don't. Like
because there's no competition. Nobody.
2K5. It was the greatest game. It was the second greatest game ever.
So they had 2K5, because they had competition. So that's why they had to level their game up. Because it's just to make a better game than 2K, and now they don't have any competition, so that's why they don't have to do it. But that by the way, that's a whole different conversation that we could have. But hopefully the NCAA football game can come out, and I believe NCAA 07, in my opinion, is the best one. NCAA 14 is good, but I think it's a lot of people.
Recency bias.
It's been 10 years now, but it's just because it's the last one.
Fair.
I love NCAA football 07 and 06. It's those two games.
That was what was that? The Reggie Bush cover and the Desmond Howard cover.
The Desmond Howard. You're right. That's correct. Yeah. I don't know how Reggie Bush made it on 07, but Desmond Howard was 06.
Yeah, I mean it was. Oh no, I was a fan. I miss it. I remember 09. They had like the 4 different player covers. And
Team Builder, man.
Team Builder, and then you could do like I Am Goliath, that commercial with Adrian Peterson against Boise State, greatest game ever.
It was, yeah.
But John, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I think we said 10 minutes, 20 minutes ago. So where can people find?
That's great.
Yeah, where can yeah. I mean, that's how it's a decent episode.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But where can people find you up? And just shout out all your links, shout out all your channels. And
okay, so on my own John Hough Twitter page is at John Hough HOUGH __. And then GSV is for both Twitter and Instagram is at GSV _STL. And then just look up the Gateway Sports Venue on YouTube. Just simply type that in, and you'll find, I think we've made over 1,000 videos. So what's kind of cool about that is like you can just type in any St. Louis high school now at this point. Not even for football, and then like a GS video will probably come up. So that's pretty cool. That's like culmination of 7 years right there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for only 6 months, and like, it's kind of cool when I see like something pop up on like my friend's thing, if and someone send me a DM or something, be like, hey, I didn't know you were doing this. I'm like, make sure you subscribe, please, so I can do this for real. But John, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I think you offered a lot of insight, just talked about the underbelly of like scouting and everything. And, we talked about everything from, Michigan quarterbacks to
Michigan State backup quarterbacks.
Michigan, if anytime you mention Brian Lewerke and I could put Brian Lewerke in the tags, I feel like that's a good move. But John, thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you very much.
And awesome.
All right.
Dap it up.
Dap it up. There we go. I can dap up. I'm still in my 20s. Come on.
Do one of those, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.